welcome to another episode of Hashtag Football Friday, baby, on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We are live and in living color, broadcasting to you live from the world's greatest city, home of the 2021 American League Central Division champion, Chicago White Sox. Pardon my G Honda there. If you don't like my excitement, the hell with you. Along with Lakeena Billue, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keelin Billue on the Twitter and at Keelin_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps, whether it's the Apple iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. Make sure that app says Sports Zone Chicago. You can also follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, search for Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, Second City Sports, you can by simply typing in that search engine box on all. We're available on all podcast platforms. That's WARR on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. That's War on Anchor. Make sure you type it in what I just said in those search engine boxes on all podcast platforms. And make sure you follow War Media on social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch Second City Sports every Monday and every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, on Sports Zone Chicago, live and in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. Lakeena, we're going to have a special guest join us to help celebrate this White Sox division championship. It's not a surprise that this team has accomplished this goal. Hopefully, it's one of many to follow throughout the season as we near the end of the regular season. The White Sox, for those of you who've been sleeping under a rock, they clinched the AL Central Division title yesterday in a split doubleheader. They lost the second game, but it doesn't matter for now. But in the first game, they defeated the Cleveland Indians by the score of 7-2, thanks to 2 home runs from Tim Anderson, Lou Bob, aka La Pantera, Luis Robert Rendy, and aka the Big Baby, or as I call him on the Twitter, aka Must See TV, Mr. Eloy Jimenez. Hi, Mom. He went deep as well. Reynaldo Lopez, he gave up 2 solo shots, but it didn't matter. He pitched well enough to qualify for the win. Liam Hendricks shut it down. It wasn't officially a save, but he got the 3 outs that he needed, and the White Sox went on to celebrate the division championship. Lakeena, it's been a long time coming. Their first division title since 2008 in the blackout game, which the anniversary, I believe, is next Friday. Because you remember Jim Thome, not Hall of Famer, hit the long home run in that 5th inning there, which turned out to be the long run of that ball game. And Ken Griffey Jr., who didn't want to be here in 2005, he was there in 2008. He made the final catch of that game, which clinched the division for the White Sox in the blackout game on the South Side. And this marks the first time in franchise history that the White Sox will make back-to-back appearances in the playoffs.
Yeah, which is a big accomplishment, right? I mean, I remember in 2008 when they clinched the AL Central, it was sort of, we really didn't know what to expect from this team. I mean, this team, we actually kind of know what we're expecting. They'll probably end up playing Houston, in the ALDS, but I think if you're the White Sox, you're okay. You clinched the Central. It was kind of a formality anyway. You got it out the way. Now you can start resting guys. And concentrate on trying to kind of like set up that rotation for the playoffs. That's really sort of like the big thing, right? So we'll see if they end up in. We'll see if they end up where they end up, but especially with the matchup, especially if it does end up being Houston, that's going to be another thing. They actually are the first, team to clinch their division. We've seen like other teams. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Clinching playoff spots. They're actually the first team to clinch their division. So, and look, keep it clean here. Our buddy Armando Lara Jr. says, he's happy that for his White Sox friends. So, and that's good. I mean, that sort of like shows you a little camaraderie there. And I mean, look, I think if Tim Anderson, I see you got your Tim Anderson jerseys in the behind you there, Sid. I
Yes.
think that's maybe rest him for a little bit. Rest a few other guys. Get Eloy out of outfield. Rest him for a bit. Robert too. We'll see. Maybe get maybe rest Lance Lynn. I mean, look, this is sort of the time where you can kind of you can start rest your guys. Not necessarily take it easy per se, but sort of just just kind of rest some guys so they'll be fresh for the playoffs.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you as we talk about the 2021 AL Central Division champion, Chicago White Sox. Lakeena, I'm with you that I've been listening to various pundits and various experts throughout the last 24, 48 hours or so. And we all question whether the White Sox were just coasting or whether they're playing hard or they're just going through the motions. I think Tony La Russa addressed it nicely yesterday. If you watched the post-game show on NBC Sports Chicago, Chuck Garfien and Isaac Guillen, and Gordon Beckham, one-time White Sox player, filling in for Frank Thomas as he does his Fox duties this weekend. And Tony La Russa's talked about, the guys came in focused yesterday. You could tell the tone was set by Tim Anderson's first inning home run. Then everybody else followed. And GM Rick Hahn said the same thing during his post-game interview with the guys yesterday. So I still believe they have an outside shot and grab the number 2 seed and hosting the division series instead of starting on the road. I don't know what the Astros did last night. I know Anaheim was up 3-1 before I went to bed, but Houston has a tough series against Oakland this weekend. We'll give you the rest of the big series around baseball coming up later in the show. But the White Sox have to have a set lineup that they need to get used to right now. Looking, as you mentioned, they can give a couple of guys days off here and there. They've been doing it over the last several weeks. Some due to injuries and just some due to preparing for what they're going to face a little bit over a week from now. So I like the plan what the White Sox are doing right now. Whatever the lineup is set for when you face Houston, whether it's here in Chicago on October 7th, my birthday, or where you go if you start out in Houston on that same day, you just need to have the lineup that you're set with and have guys get used to not just the pressure, but used to guys' tendencies and how they're going to perform in the lineup.
Well, I think the good part about this is that you have guys, just about most of those guys, played last year. So now they've got a little bit of playoff experience under their belt. They've had their struggles. The one that really concerns me right now, Sid, is Rodon. I know that he tried to downplay and then say, nah, what, it's just a, little tightness in his forearm, and he just needs to, maybe rest for a little bit. La Russa actually sounded a little more concerned, so take that for, what it's worth. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this sort of team, what the match is going to be. If they, stuck at being a 3 seed, they have to play Houston. So, the only difference is if they end up getting the 2 seeds, that they get the home field. So that's really the only difference, which could actually be the case, but then sometimes it's not. So it's sort of like, depends on how you believe in, the home field aspect of it. But yeah, it's going to get very interesting to see, how this order of, sets up for the White Sox. If they do play Houston, whether it's, they get the advantage or whether if they don't have the advantage.
Shout out to our guy Lamont Scott. He says on our YouTube feed, I think Tony has their heads right, and they may be the balance that they need. As we talked about before, Lakeena, Tony La Russa, despite what happened on the field or off the field at times this year, he's not a perfect manager, but he's the perfect manager for this team. And this is still a young group, as you mentioned. Most of the guys that were on the team last year, they lost that wild card to the Oakland in that wild card series last year. They have some experience, but they still need a veteran leader to guide them, and that's what Tony La Russa was brought in here to do. And we asked our good friend Lamont Pope from the Chicago Tribune on Monday. Well, I asked him the question, what grades you gave Tony La Russa? He said it was incomplete. Of course, he was brought here to win a World Series. I'll still give Tony La Russa in solid A so far, but the real mission starts after next weekend when the regular season is over. And so that's where the real money is made. We could talk about what do we want this matchup, that matchup, guys' tendencies and streaking and not streaking. But as well as I do, Lakeena, in any professional sport, all the talk is lost when the ball is kicked, when a puck is dropped, when the ball is tipped, and when that first pitch is thrown in the playoffs. Everything else goes out the window from there.
Yeah, and sort of you really don't, especially after all this. I mean, you kind of wonder, like, okay, what's the ceiling here? Hopefully, when we have,
Mhm.
Keelin with us, in a little bit, how does she feel about it? But I think it's all gonna depend on the matchups. I think if it does end up being Houston, I mean, I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, the White Sox were able to, the last time they played, the White Sox were able to kind of make it interesting, and they actually won the series. So does that help? Because that'll help with the confidence. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. You're gonna have two veteran managers, in Tony La Russa and Dusty Baker, battling out. So it's going to be if it does end up being Houston, we're playing those here, but it's going to be kind of like a game of chess between these two. So who's going to be the substitutions and the pitching and stuff. So that's gonna be, again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because still got a couple weeks left and still a lot of things to figure out. But I'm kind of like in the realm of, okay, you know what, maybe they may have a chance to advance. Who knows?
You talked about the season series with Houston. Of course, they won 5 out of the 7 games. Of course, with the White Sox taking 2 out of the 3 games here in Chicago, I was fortunate enough to attend 2 of those games when the offense exploded. And let's remember, especially the series. Let's go back to the series in June. Not everybody was healthy for the White Sox. Yes, you could say it's an excuse, but that was the reality of the situation. Yes, the White Sox were winning at the time, but let's be honest here. That was the first time that the starting pitcher really got shellacked. There was a bad defensive play, and of course there was injuries, which that was been the most, which been the Achilles heel from this team from the jump. So with injuries aside, that was one of the few times that the White Sox looked bad on the field during the season. Now the series here in Chicago back in July, following the All-Star break, you saw the White Sox were starting to turn it around. Of course, Luis Robert didn't come back yet. Eloy Jimenez wasn't back yet, but the White Sox had enough to carry through to win that series against the Astros. The Astros started at least the last couple of games the back end of their rotation guys, and the White Sox took advantage of that. So the White Sox hitting came around. As I said before, don't expect the White Sox to score 8-9 runs a game. That just doesn't happen in the playoffs. You're not facing number 4, number 5, or sometimes mediocre number 3 starters. You're facing the opponent's top 2 starters. In the White Sox, the only thing I'm looking forward to, it's a couple of things, but one of the main things I'm looking forward to heading towards the playoffs, can the White Sox manufacture runs when they're not hitting home runs? Because Tim Anderson, as we know, sets the tone at the top. But this is why you have Brian Goodwin, Billy Hamilton, Larry, not Larry, Garcia. That's where you have those guys for to steal a base, move runners over, take a base on the extra base hit. Things like that are important. The small things is what's important in playoff time. That's what helps you win or lose ball games.
And I've noticed, though, that that's how they've lost games, because in fact they haven't been able to manufacture home runs. That they do tend to kind of depend on the long ball, which I think in the playoffs that's fine. But you're dealing with it's getting a little cooler outside. You're going to be dealing with cooler temperatures, so that's going to be hard to do. So. And it's going to be windy in some of these places. Now again, Houston plays out in indoor, in a dome,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a little more control, so they'll have a little bit of an advantage there. But that's sort of like the thing, once you play here at G rates, what's the advantage going to be there? So I'm kind of like a sort of like back and forth with the Sox. I think the key is to make sure that no one goes into a slump at the exact same time, which can
Mm-hmm.
happen, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's like the
Yes.
last thing you want. So I'm kind of, that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about. If Anderson can't get on base, if Abreu
Mm-hmm.
can't do what he usually does, or and Larry and Robert and Goodwin and then the rest of them. So that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about. Also, too, in the pitching, that middle relief, Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Tepera, hopefully he'll be back, and Kimbrel, he's got a lot of experience, pitching the playoffs, so you got to think that'll help as well. That's still that middle relief, though, still gives me a little bit of anxiety. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, okay, especially in the playoffs, you can't afford to have it, because a team like Houston will take advantage of that. So that's sort of like the main thing for me. That's really what has me worried about the White Sox, that they may have another early exit in the playoffs.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We're live and in living color along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown as we discuss the 2021 AL Central Division champion Chicago White Sox. Lakeena, let's talk about some unsung heroes that we could possibly see do some great things in the playoffs. Adam Engel, he played in a doubleheader yesterday. Of course, he's been injured off and on all year with various ailments of his hamstring. Of course, rookie slugger. I think he should get more time at DH or in a right field. That's Gavin Sheets, Brian Goodwin, as you mentioned, and Larry Garcia. Those guys, I believe, can set the tone as far as being unsung heroes. As you mentioned, Jose Abreu, who's battling out for the RBI title right now. And you have Tim Anderson, just in case Jim Anderson or Yohan Moncada, hopefully he could turn it on during the playoffs with his bat. If none of those guys can come through, can we see an unexpected hero or two trying to carry the Sox team if your big guys can't come through?
And I think that's sort of going to be the key. And hopefully maybe the Garcias, the Goodwins, and those guys can kind of be those. They sort of like step up if Anderson has a bad at bat, or if Abreu goes into a slump. I mean, that's sort of going to be the thing where you hope that's that they can step it up. That maybe Andrew Vaughn can play a factor in the playoffs for the White Sox. I mean, those are the kind of young guys, also experienced guys that you kind of want to sort of like be kind of like that, sort of like pick up the slack in case all the other the other guys are not that good. So. It like I said, it's going to be a very interesting little thing here with the White Sox, especially if it does end up being Houston. That's going to be kind of like the thing.
Yeah, and also too, you talk about the pitching, and hopefully Michael Kopech did see some action yesterday in that second game in that doubleheader. How will he be used in the playoffs? And you brought up the injury to Carlos Rodon. He's supposed to start in one of those two games against Cincinnati next week. We'll see if that happens or not. If not, hopefully, if you're the White Sox, you can escape that series against Houston. You can save Rodon for the American League Championship Series, but how will Michael Kopech be used? Will it be a surprise starter for one of those games if it extends to 4 or 5 games? Who knows? Craig Kimbrell, I've been concerned about him for the last few weeks. Can he get it together between now and the start of the playoffs? Aaron Bummer, he looked good yesterday in that first game, clinching the division. So the pressure is still going to be on him, but he's done well in the last couple of weeks or so. So I'm interested to see how well the White Sox pitching does, both in the starter but in the bullpen. We know what you're going to get with Liam Hendriks. Said what he did yesterday in a non-safe situation. But I want to see, as you mentioned, like before the season started, that middle relief. How many guys will Tony La Russa trust now that the big shows are coming within the next week or so?
Yeah, I think that's going to be sort of the key right there. Now, as far as hopefully Keelin will join us in a little bit, but I kind of feel like this is. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I feel like maybe are we going to kind of like see this sort of like the White Sox team that we were hoping to see, and one especially how Rick Hahn was able to build this team the last couple of years. Mixing a little, especially the manager, I think. But again, we won't go into a little tangent about that. But I'm kind of like wondering, is this going to be, I just want to see what we're going to expect. I mean, like I said, some of these guys have the playoff experience after what happened with Oakland last year. That they know what it takes to win. You got a seasoned pro now in Tony La Russa, who's been through this, hundreds and hundreds of times, so he knows how to win the playoffs. So that's going to be the differing thing. But again, fluky things happen, especially in the divisional series. So, is it going to be like a pass ball, or maybe, with a, we thought was a home run, but then it falls just short? Or what if, a pitcher from the back end comes out of nowhere and has a really, great start and produces a gem. So that's sort of like, that's one of the best parts of the MLB playoffs, that these are the type of things that can happen. So hopefully, White Sox will be on the good part, the good end of it, I should say.
Yeah, let me bring this up before we hit the bottom of the hour break. I mentioned Yohan Moncada. I kind of see him in the light as hopefully Joe Creedy did during the 05 playoffs. Remember, Lakeena? He was struggling with his bat, but he was great defensively. Me personally, I thought he should have won the World Series MVP, but it went to Jermaine Dye. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. Just happy that the Sox won that series. No, shout out to Jermaine Dye. But Yohan Moncada, he has the potential to put up big power numbers, but it just hasn't happened yet for him this season for whatever reason. I know he was injured a couple of times this year, but hopefully he can use this last week or so of the regular season to get his game right and to take a different approach at the plate, be patient and work on that, because come playoff time, the spotlight is going to be on him as well. Hopefully he can turn on the Jets in terms of his bat like Joe Crede did in 2005.
Yeah, it's sort of, that's going to be, is it going to be, are we going to get those type of Joe Crede heroes from that team, in this team? But, again, it's like, well, so it's sort of like, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, look, I think that's sort of the best part about the playoffs. Like I said, you're going to have some of these unsung heroes. So let's hope that, for the White Sox, I mean, it'll be one of their guys that becomes the unsung heroes in the playoffs. Like a Goodwin, like a Goodwin, or maybe if you want to go to pitching, maybe Kopech could be a hero for the White Sox, or maybe Gavin Sheets if he ends up making the roster, or Moncada. I mean, those are the guys, the type of guys I think you want to have step up, like we've been saying, in case somebody else, the other guys, the big guys, end up just not having a very good, go to a slump. I say that the worst time.
We hit the bottom of the hour, so it's time to take a pause for the cause. On the flip side, we'll give you the important series from the rest of baseball for this upcoming weekend starting tonight. We'll give you the best and worst from Major League Baseball as well. Hopefully our guests will join us, and we'll get into some college football as some big games are on the horizon for tomorrow. We'll have that and a whole lot more. With Lakeena McGee, I am Sidney Brown. You're listening to Second City Sports live in a living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. If you want to comment on today's show, you can do so by going to our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the air for you. And if you try to do anything silly or stupid, Lakeena will politely give you the boot. Lakeena, let's give not the boot, but let's kick it off with discussing the rest of Major League Baseball, the best and worst from this week. Lakeena, as we get into the less than 2 weeks left in the regular season, the San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers are battling out for the NL West title. Both teams with big wins yesterday. The San Diego Padres, they keep losing. The San Francisco Giants took care of them yesterday in extra innings in Colorado. those Fighting Rockies, they were one strike away from putting the Dodgers
Yep.
but the Dodgers said, Max Muncy with a big solo home run, and then went into 10 innings. They defeated the Colorado Rockies 7-5. Lakeena, it seems to me that whoever wins that division will have a chance to go to the World Series from the National League. I said Milwaukee as well, because Milwaukee and San Francisco are battling for home field throughout the NL playoffs. But it looks like the Dodgers will win 100 games from all they've been through. But what's going to reward them is a trip to the wild card game with a potential loss going home.
Yeah, let's not let's not push them out of the division talk just yet. There's still like one game back, and look, I think this is gonna get down to the rest of the regular season. Unfortunately, the Giants and Dodgers are done playing, so it's gonna gonna hinge on which team. And then, like, if you're the Colorado Rockies, you're probably kicking yourself, because I saw highlights of that game, and I know that they're like, why we were so close to play a spoiler. Yeah. But I think Max Muncy, I think, look, if for other stuff, he could have been right there for the NL MVP, but it is what it is. But I think, look, we've said this before about the West. I mean, look, the Giants, you got to give them credit. They're sticking around. I thought that they were gonna, that they, maybe by this time the Dodgers would be up like 3 or 4 games. No, they haven't, and they get the Rockies this weekend. So maybe if you're the Dodgers, you're hoping that the Rockies can do to them what they feel to do to them. But it's gonna look, it's gonna get down to the wire. Like I said, I mean, the Dodgers, they get the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, they've actually played pretty well against the Diamondbacks. So it's all going to depend on who kind of stumbles first, among those two. So it's going to get very interesting though in the West still.
Let's head over to the American League. The wild card race is heating up. Of course, Boston's on the current 7-game winning streak, I believe, and they face the Yankees starting tonight. I believe that game is in the Bronx. If I'm not mistaken, my computer's is in the Bronx. Okay, my computer is acting up. Hopefully, it'll straighten itself out in just a minute. But the Yankees, they continue to struggle. Boston, as I mentioned, has been on fire. The Toronto Blue Jays, they lost an ugly game to the Minnesota Twins on the road last night. They're still hanging around. I believe they are a game back at the Yankees now. Toronto won't go away, but as we said, Lakeena, for the last month or so, you take a look at your schedule. You look at it, and you say, "Oh, we play this team. They're worse than us." You can't just throw your boots out there expecting to win, because these losing teams, even though they're not playing for a playoff spot, they're playing for jobs, whether it's on their own teams or somebody else next year. And they're going to bring it. And looking back at the end of the regular season, those losing teams can say we affected the playoff seeding, or just that particular teams that we face, that we beat, we sent them whole packing.
Yeah, and I think that if you're the Blue Jays, you picked the worst time to not play well. And I think, like you said, Sid, I mean, this is sort of like we've been talking about this last couple of weeks. I mean, you can't take these teams lightly. So they have 3 more games against the Twins. Hopefully, and the Blue Jays, I mean, the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to be beating each other up. So if you're the Blue Jays, you hope to win those last 3 so that they can kind of sneak back in there into the AL wild card race. Now, let's talk about Seattle for a second. They're still trying to hang on. They swept the A's, 4-game sweep. I mean, that's incredible. And now they've got the Angels. They still they're only 2 games back, so they've got an outside shot. They're going to say, "Hey, look, don't forget about us." So these are getting very interesting there, and interesting in the AL in the wild card races.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up to one-time Chicago Cub former Major League player Scott Servais with a bunch of known names. He's done a great job. Too bad he can't win Manager of the Year. He'll have to make the playoffs so even to get a consideration, but I don't think that's going to happen. Probably Tony La Russa will probably get that award.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think this sort of like, it's unfortunate though, because there's actually really some good young talent in the Mariners, and Servais has done a great job managing those guys. But it is what it is. I'm sure he'll be a finalist though for NL Manager of the Year. I think AL Manager of the Year, because I think he's just he does such a great job. So I think he'll make the finals. I think he may not win it, but I think he'll make the finals.
All right. Here's a question from my good buddy Lamont Scott via the YouTube. Do you think that the Dodgers World Series win was a fluke, and will there be the same old playoff losing Dodgers? Here's the thing, Lamont. If they get past the wild card game, assuming that the San Francisco Giants win the West, if the Dodgers play Cincinnati I'm not saying it's a guarantee they should beat them. Assuming that they beat Cincinnati in a wild card game, I think they'll become that dangerous team because right now I have Milwaukee and San Francisco second as the top two teams as far as the favorites in the National League. But the Dodgers could get by in the wild card game. You had to consider them as well. No, they're not the same team as they were last year with the 60-game schedule. I'm not going to put an asterisk by it. They won it and they deserved it. But the Dodgers will be dangerous if they can get past the wild card game. Soon things remain where they are right now at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on the matchups, I think, for the Dodgers. I kind of feel like if they do have to play like an Atlanta or Philly, then you probably say, okay, maybe this shot to be a one and done. But like I said, fluky things happen in playoffs, and look, these guys know how to do it. And you don't think Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, you don't think they're going to want to miss a chance to get another World Series ring? Get out of here! So yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, they're going to bring it, though. They will definitely bring it. And he says, Lamont also says that he doesn't think Seattle can hold up. Look, you never know. I mean, look, we've seen weird things happen the last week and a half of the season. So
look at the St. Louis Cardinals that we're going to talk about now. They won, I believe, 12 in a row. They came back from a 5-run deficit. I was watching a little bit of that yesterday, watching the White Sox game. Even though the Brewers are in the playoffs and they're going to clinch that division. St. Louis, as I said before, Lakeena, they may run out of time because they were struggling at the beginning of the season, but they're making a strong push. And I don't think anybody in the National League, including the Dodgers, want to play St. Louis should they get in.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to commend that that team. They could have just been left for dead after the All-Star break, and they were able to kind of pick it up. Their pitching picked it up. Their hitting picked up. I mean, they came back from a 5-run deficit. I mean, they're the 4th team in modern MLB history to overcome a deficit like that to extend a win streak to 12, or more. We'll see if they can do if the Brewers can. They have the Cubs, so you got. I'm sure the Cubs would love to play spoiler though for the Cardinals.
Oh yes.
So you got to think they will love that. So yeah, I mean, look, we'll see. Like I said, weird things happen the week and a half of the season. We're seeing it right now. So.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. Lakeena, give us a couple of important series this weekend from around baseball. Just programming reminder for those of you around the country. Especially here in Chicago, the White Sox in Cleveland will be the feature game on Fox tomorrow at 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes, they will. And keeping that up also too, you got to think Philly. If you want to keep up, make sure don't take your in-state rival, if you will, Pittsburgh, very lightly. They play them this weekend. The Padres and the Braves are actually going to pick up a game because. The game from last night was suspended due to rain, so they're going to be playing they're going to finish that game up, and they're going to play a pseudo doubleheader, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. Both teams still trying to hang on to their respective playoff chances. The Padres are trying to hang on to whatever slim choice playoff chance that they have left. Let's see. Excuse me. Like you said, Toronto and Minnesota, we talked about that. San Francisco, Colorado, same thing. We talked about that too. Mets and the Brewers, your hope that if you're the Mets, you want to try to get into that playoff, the NL East, that it's going to be hard, but you're going to try to scratch and claw your way there. Arizona, the Dodgers, again, you don't want to take Arizona lightly. And look, Oakland's they picked the wrong time. They got swept by the Mariners, and
I was going to say the other day, that was an elimination series. And if Oakland, if they don't win a couple of games this weekend, it's really going to be over for them real fast.
It's probably going to end up being a wrap for them. So, I mean, there's some really interesting series this week. So if you're trying to get into that, the Mariners play the Angels, for people, by the way, but yeah, it's going to look, I mean, like we said before, you got about a little over a week, almost 2 weeks left, maybe about 10 games left.
Yep.
Don't take these teams lightly, folks.
Yep. So by the time we do our next Friday show, of course, we'll be with you guys on Monday. But by the time we'll do the Friday show next Friday, we'll be a couple of days away from the regular season ending. So a lot is going to change between now and then. And so we'll see what happens. You're listening to Second City Sports Now, #Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. Lakeena, let's go to the college football schedule for tomorrow. And we'll start off with Big noon Saturday as Fox will broadcast number 12 Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. They'll take on the number 18th ranked Wisconsin Badgers live from Soldier Field.
Yeah, and game day is going to be there and as well. So I mean, I've said it before. I don't think Notre Dame's for real. I just, they've, kind of like, sleptwalked their last couple of games. I think Wisconsin, I think they want to show, they want to get that taste out of, the taste gets Penn State out of their mouths. This is going to be a neutral, there's going to be a neutral site game at Wrigley. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this is sort of like they set all this up. They actually showed the field. You got Notre Dame on one end, you got, Wisconsin on the other end. So this is going to be a very interesting game, and we'll see who's for real.
Yeah, my couple of keys to the game is, will Wisconsin, can they pressure the Notre Dame quarterback? And number two is going to come down to offensive line play. Can Wisconsin outdo Notre Dame on the offensive line front? And will Wisconsin Badgers running game get back on track?
Yeah.
Those are the two keys to the game tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be a big key there. You said it, Sid. That's an 11 a.m. big noon Saturday game. Both the respective, like I said, pregame show is going to be there, so that's gonna get very interesting too.
I saw Desmond Howard of ESPN this morning. I was watching Sports Center this morning.
Yeah,
he was shivering in his fall coat outside of the shed aquarium this morning.
interesting place there. For
now it's more you can walk out with shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So that's an actually interesting thing there that he did that. But yeah, we'll see. Texas A&M and Arkansas. That's SEC / old Southwest Conference matchup. That's a 2:30 game that'll be on CBS. So Arkansas is undefeated. So they, if you're the Aggies, don't look past them. They got some pretty good talent there at Arkansas.
Yeah, locally at 11 a.m. live from Evanston is the 1-2 Northwestern Wildcats versus the 0-3 Ohio
Bearcats. Yeah, so
Bearcats.
Yeah, so,
you think Northwestern can win this game?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that, like I said, Ohio. Well, yeah, I know.
They favored by 14.5 points.
Yeah, I would take the under on that one. But yeah, MAC teams kind of give the big five teams the Power Five teams a hard time. But Ohio has had some turmoil. Frank Solich retired. Right before they started their practices. So I think that things are kind of like going to upheaval there. But you never know. But we'll see. Texas Tech and Texas. That's an ABC game. That's another game that'll be on at 11 a.m. Boise State at Utah State. That's a good one there. That's at 11 a.m. for CBS. Their Mountain West is getting some love. So that they might. And look, with the SEC leaving CBS after this year, they probably are going to be looking for some other conference to showcase their big network. So
they need the Pac-12. The Pac-12 needs CBS. They need each other, but we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah,
a very underrated game. I forgot this school even had a football program. Shame on me. But the Villanova Wildcats at 3-0 will visit Happy Valley to take on the number 6 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. I said it right the first time.
Yeah.
They're also at 3-0. Of course, will this be a trap game for Penn State after a big win against Auburn at home last Saturday night?
They're in the FCS. So that's probably why you probably didn't think they had a football team. They've actually had a football team for years. They've actually won a couple of FCS titles. Okay. So, yeah. So I'm sure if you're James Frank is going to make sure his guys are ready, that they don't look past that game, because that could easily do that. If you see Villanova, they're only a basketball school. No, they're actually a pretty good football school too. So that should be an interesting one there. That could be a trap game for them, but we'll see. Iowa State and Baylor. I know Baylor's going through some, changes and a rebuild. But again, if you're Iowa State, you kind of want to get that loss from Iowa out of your brain. So that should help. Also, to Rutgers and Michigan. Rutgers is 3-0. I think for the first time since Greg Schiano, I think was there. Now he's back there. Again, this is going to be one of those. I wouldn't be surprised. This is going to be one of those, big smash mouth, football. This is going to be the first time Rutgers actually played somebody this year. So I'm sure Jim Harbaugh will have his guys ready, and that should be a fun one. That's a 2:30 game on ABC.
Back locally, Northern Illinois at 1-2 will host Maine at 1-2. Hopefully, Northern Illinois will win that one. I'll leave it at that.
FCS school in Maine. Yes. So yeah.
Very underrated game, but this should be interesting. On FS1 at 2:30 tomorrow, number 5 Iowa, the Hawkeyes will host Colorado State.
Colorado State they're 1-2, but yeah, they've got some players. The last couple of years they've actually been playing pretty well, but a lot of those guys have graduated and left, so I don't think Iowa shouldn't have any problems, but again, look, weird things happen at Kinnick Stadium, so
Yeah.
on both fronts of your Iowa. So we'll see. Louisville, Florida State will try to get their first win of the season. It's a very tough Louisville team. You got Illinois, I should say, at Purdue. That's another 2:30 game on the Big
I
Ten
think Purdue will
Network.
smoke by 20.
Yeah,
Well, what do I know?
probably. Yeah, you might be right about that. Let's see.
Rutgers and Michigan both 3-0 teams in the big house on 8 at 2:30.
That should be a fun. Yeah, that should be a fun one there.
I think you mentioned. Did you mention Clemson? Yeah, Clemson and NC State. Did you mention that?
That could be. No, I did not. But that could be an interesting game too. I mean, look, NC State. I mean, they've got some talent there, and I think Clemson started to find their rhythms on offense. So we'll see.
Okay, go ahead with the rest of the schedule.
Let's see. The battle of the basketball schools. You got Kansas and Duke on the ACC network at 3:00. So
who would have thought that a battle of the football field? Let's take it from the court to the field.
Yeah, sure. Right. I don't think you're gonna see Bill Self and Coach. You might see Coach K there. I don't know, but that should be interesting. What? Excuse me. Then you got UCLA and Stanford on the Pac-12 network. That should be a fun one. Tennessee and Florida. That we'll see. Florida hoping to bounce back from their loss against Alabama. Again, Nebraska and Michigan State. They'll try to slow down Kenneth Walker the third, and that might be a bigger task, but we'll see. K-State and Oklahoma State, that should be a fun one. I don't think people probably didn't expect those two to kind of sort of be have good records going into this game, but it's actually a big game. That's actually on the Big 12 / ESPN Plus game. So if you have either one of those, you can check that out.
Or watch it on Google.
maybe Kentucky and South Carolina, that should be another good one of the SEC. West Virginia and Oklahoma, that's a primetime game on ABC.
I know some points are gonna be put up in this one.
I mean West Virginia actually has given the Oklahoma a hard time, but like I said, the Oklahoma defense will make things interesting as they usually do. So we'll see. North Carolina and Georgia Tech. That's another game on the ACC network. Let me see what else. Cal and Washington. That's always a fun one when those two teams battle it out. South Florida and BYU. They're undefeated right now. BYU, Oregon State and USC, and Colorado and Arizona State. So that should be definitely some fun games there.
Yeah, you're listening to Second City Sports on a hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. If you want to make a comment to us throughout the show, you can do so on our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or on our YouTube page at Sports Zone Chicago. Place your comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the air for you. Our buddy Lamont Scott says Florida better win. That Tennessee hasn't won at the Swamp in a long, long time, and so let's see if 2-1 the Volunteers can get it done. And Lamont also says Oklahoma need that win for respect. It was a tough one last week. I know DJ Griffin had that great interception, but they're facing a very good West Virginia team who had a big win against Virginia Tech last week. So it should be an interesting game for the Sooners.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. My nephew came in to come get his mail, but yeah. I mean, look, I think Florida. If you're Florida, that win is needed for respect, like you said. I mean, Tennessee, they've had their battles over the years too. The last, it's always fun between these two old rivals. And look, Oklahoma, we've been saying, I mean, look, West Virginia can score, so
yeah.
If you're Oklahoma's defense, you better try to make some plays like you did last week against Nebraska.
Let's go to that Pac-12 game. I believe it's at 9:30. You mentioned Oregon State and USC. I know both teams at 2-1. Do you think more pressure is on USC, especially after they fired Clay Helton a couple of weeks ago after that bad showing following the season opening win? The next week they lost. Or do you think more pressure is on USC and maybe they could salvage the season?
Both. I think it's both. I think they're both. Okay. Unfortunately, this is going to be very interesting because I kind of feel like, I know that the players love Deontay Williams, who's the OC and who's now the interim coach right now. I'm sure they're going to want to play for him, but I think I gotta get a tweet up from our buddy Sean Salisbury, who of course played for SC, former NFL quarterback, played for SC in the early '80s. I gotta get it. He tweeted something yesterday. Let's see if I can get it up, pop it up here for you guys. But yeah, he said that maybe like undisciplined and just not developing the talent. I'm paraphrasing what he said. That's kind of the reason why SC's kind of been on that downward spiral. I mean, it's not that they can't recruit. I mean, they actually recruit some pretty good talent. The problem is that they haven't been able to develop them, and I think that's the problem. So, giving them a chance to showcase. Look, I think Coach Williams is probably gonna have to, like I said, I'm sure he's gonna have to win the Pac-12 South to at least get a chance to get considered for the job. But I think if you're Mike Bone, who's the AD over at USC, I think he's gonna want to hit a home run. So I don't know if his mind's already made up, but I just think that this could be if you're SC and if you're trying to kind of these guys are playing for their jobs basically. So, it's definitely the person gonna be on everybody to try at least finish the season and, if not win the Pac-12 South division, but at least, upright.
Let's go back to the Illinois-Purdue matchup for tomorrow at 2:30 on the Big Ten Network. Purdue is favored by 11.5. I know, like you said, strange things can happen in college football, but you don't see that with this Fighting Illini team. We said it was going to be a transition year on the first-year head coach, Brett Bielema. Do you think they'll at least put up a fighting chance?
I mean, these two have always, played together and, have always, had, different matchups. But like I said before, I mean, Purdue's kind of rebuilding, and like I said, so is Illinois. So I'm thinking it's going to get down to the wire, and then this could be one of those 6-3, 9-6 sort of old Big Ten games from back in the day. So I wouldn't be surprised.
You love those.
Oh, well, look. Like
you love those pre-1970s, 80s games.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, look, there's
bring back the leather helmets. Why don't you?
Oh, yeah, tearaway jerseys. But no, I didn't say I liked them. I just said it could happen. I mean, look, if you remember those 2:30 games on ABC, from years ago, where we always get stuck with the boring Big Ten game when there's a good ACC game or a Pac-10 game, that. So it's hilarious. Okay, Lamont Scott, our buddy Lamont says there's no pressure on USC because they're turning over the staff and weighing on Eric B from Kansas City. So USC is going to pack it in. I don't know. No, well, I like Eric B, but I just don't think. I don't know if they can. Yeah, I don't know if you're B, would you rather keep coaching Pat Mahomes, MVP, had a Super Bowl ring, and all that, or you're going to go to SC where there's going to be a lot of pressure on you, and you haven't ever been a head coach at any level before? Do you really want that kind of pressure? Just saying.
Yeah, as of right now, we don't expect to see that many openings for the NFL head coaching job this offseason, but we all know, Lakeena, we'll get to the NFL more next hour, but we all know things could change in the NFL, Lakeena. There's usually about 5-6 jobs that are open every year. Now, unfortunately, Eric Bieniemy has been a victim of his team's success. I still believe that he deserves to be a head coach in the NFL, not just because the quote unquote color of his skin, but look at his credentials. He's overqualified, to be honest with you. Like you said, Lakeena, he's working with one of the top quarterbacks, and not the top quarterback in the game right now, in Patrick Mahomes. And look at the success that he's had. So, if he really wants to go to coach college football, that's within his prerogative. Me personally, I still believe that he needs an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. I know he said early last week that his focus is on Kansas City, as it should be. But if he really wants to coach college football, that's within his prerogative, as I just said. But I think deep down, he really wants to coach in the NFL, and rightfully so. He deserves that opportunity.
Yeah, he's more than earned it. But like you said, it's been the fact that Chiefs have gone so far in the playoffs that he doesn't have a chance to interview for these openings. And like I said, there's gonna be a lot of pressure on him, going to USC. And then look, we know how the SC brass are, so and the fans. So if he wants to deal with that pressure, I don't know if he wants to. I don't know if he wants to deal with that pressure. You get a little more leo in the NFL than you do in college. But yeah, and Lamont says it's going to be Illinois' week. Well, we'll see, Lamont. I mean, we'll see if it gets Purdue. We'll see. I mean, like I said, it's going to be very. Look, it's always interesting when those two teams, play each other. That's basically it. I mean, look, there's not too many, big matchups. I mean, Fresno, like I said, UCLA is hoping to bounce back from the loss of Fresno State. Fresno State's now in the top 25. They play UNLV tonight on CBS Sports Network at 9:00. So. That should be a fun one there. But yeah, I mean, those are some pretty good matches. Not a great weekend, but there are a couple of good ones.
Yes, it's a couple of good ones. As we wrap up our number one of Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. I'm looking forward to that Wisconsin Notre Dame game tomorrow. Of course, it's going to be live from Soldier Field on Fox, so I'll be interested in that. And I'll check out the primetime game as well with West Virginia, Oklahoma. Hopefully, there'll be a shootout.
Yeah, I'm imploring Sid to start watching more college football. I mean, look, I know he's in White Sox mode now, but look, they've won the division, so you just got to wait and see if they're going to play Houston, if they're going to host Houston, or they're going to host them. But start watching some college football, Sid. That's my PSA for this week.
Lakeena's trying. She's trying.
I'm trying to convert him. I'm trying. It hasn't worked so far. I've been doing it for the last 4 years, trying to convert him in college football. That hasn't happened. But you know what? That's another thing. So hour one's in the books. So what we got coming up in hour two, Mr. Brown?
We have your official Second City Sports preview of the Chicago Bears and the Cleveland Browns. Will Justin Fields surprise folks with his performance in front of his college fans and family members back in his college stomping grounds? Can the Bears defense step up and surprise some folks? On the flip side, will Baker Mayfield have another outstanding game, and will Eddie Goldman play, or will the Browns running game just stomp all over the Bears' overrated run defense? And we'll highlight some of the other key matchups in the NFL as well. And our good friend Christine Manika from KXRB Radio at the bottom of next hour will join us to give her Week 3 NFL picks. All that and more coming up on the flip side. You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena with you. We'll see you on the other side.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Lakeena McGee, who just jumped back on screen for those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube.
We got some new neighbors. You know, my sister, mom, and I, we got some new neighbors, so we're being kind of nosy. But I'm back, folks. So like Sid said, go on, my friend.
Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
You can follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, look up Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app. wherever you buy your apps, whether it's the Apple iTunes Store or Google Play. Make sure you get that Sports Zone Chicago app where you can watch our shows live, or if you miss them, you can watch them on the replay on there as well. You can listen to Second City Sports every Monday and every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. As we continue to hour number 2 on a hashtag Football Friday, Lakeena, let's get into the preview in this Week 3 NFL matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Cleveland Browns. Both teams are coming in at 1-1. This game will be taking place in Cleveland at Cleveland Browns Stadium Sunday at noon Central Standard Time on Fox. The number 2 team for Fox, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen, one-time Chicago Bear, and along with Kenneth Davis, his favorite lady, Pam Oliver will be roaming the sidelines for Fox, as most of the country will see that game. That's the first game part of the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. Most of the nation will get, I believe, Rams and Buccaneers. That's at 3:25. But most of the nation, Lakeena, will see the debut of Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields, a rookie QB out of Ohio State. He played a little bit in the first game against the Rams. He saw extensive action last week following the injury to Andy Dalton. Dalton looks like he's going to be out several weeks with that left knee injury. Head coach Matt Nagy for the Bears said when Andy Dalton is healthy, that it's going to be his starting position once he returns from injury. Lakeena, do you buy that garbage, or does he really mean it? I think it's garbage, to be honest with you, to keep the media at bay. It's not going to work this time, sir. It's not.
Yeah, I think he sort of feels like, I think he's kind of stuck in between. I think when Dalton begged up to tackle, I think that was probably like the worst thing that could happen to Nagy on the football sense, of course, because he kind of like, Dalton, being healthy is kind of what helped covered him, especially with the, fighting off the Justin Fields questions. But if Fields plays well on Sunday against a pretty good, not a great Browns defense, but a good Browns defense. I won't say that they're not like top 10 or anything like that. But if he has a good outing and a good showing, then I could probably, those questions are going to keep ramping up. And we'll see how long Dalton's out. It could be a week, it could maybe 2 weeks. No one really knows. But it's just at this point, I think let's just see what the kid does. If he doesn't have a good showing, that's okay. He's still a rookie, and now he's going to have a full week of practice with these guys. And I think Nagy probably didn't feel like he didn't have a choice. He kind of play, try to play chess and say, try to sugarcoat it, but he knew he couldn't do it. So we'll just say, look, Fields is starting this week, and again, if you don't want infighting in the locker room, because that tends to happen in these situations, his best bet is Fields. I mean, to kind of hopefully he plays well.
Yeah, and I actually read the article, I'm sure you did too, by Jeff Derrickson of ESPNChicago.com. He said, love him too, but he said that in his article earlier this week, when Matt Nagy makes the switch, obviously this in case it was an injury to Dalton, when they hand over the keys to Justin Fields, there's no turning back, and there's no turning back now. Let's just say that Fields struggles in his first 2-3 starts. It's okay. It's a rookie. I know the Bears still want to win games, including head coach Matt Nagy, but you know what you were going to get in a rookie quarterback, whether he's ready or not. So they felt like he was ready enough to start, or else they would hand over the keys to Nick Foles. I'm sure Matt Nagy wanted to do that, but remember when he did that last year? Nick Foles, in all the games that he started except for one, he threw an interception, and the season almost went down the damn tubes. He don't want to do that again. So Justin Fields is the franchise a quarterback for the Bears, so he'll be making his first start. As I said, Lakeena, whether Justin Fields plays well or not, this is just a learning tool for this year anyway, moving forward. I said this before, and I'll say it again, not in terms of this season, but for the future of this franchise moving forward. It's better to have Justin Fields have the keys to the car right now. Well, he's going to have his good moments. He's going to have his bad moments. I know some of you Bears fans don't want to hear it, but the more that this young man gets experience for this season is going to better help him moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's what you want, right? And I know folks are gonna, say that, okay, look, like we were saying before. I mean, some of the best quarterbacks, ever that went to the Hall of Fame, a lot of them, didn't have. Look, Peyton Manning, I think, didn't have his best start. And it's going to get very interesting to see what he decides to do. How's he going to look? And will this O-line protect him? And I think that's going to be the key. Another key, the O-line at times, we don't know. They were okay against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
They were okay against the Bengals. But again, you're facing a pretty, okay, like I said, not a great defense, but a pretty solid one in the Browns. So can they keep Fields upright? I think that's going to be another key, and it's especially also too with the defense. I mean, I'm sure Baker Mayfield's going to try and and exploit that bad Bears secondary. Odell Beckham looks like OBJ is going to be playing for the first time this year. Yeah, I know Landry is out, but look, you still got Peoples-Jones was really good. You got Higgins, who was pretty solid, and also too that front seven. Can they slow down Nick Chubb and slow down Kareem Hunt? The key for me is going to be can the Browns use the run game to keep the Bears offense and keep Fields off the field so that he won't be a factor.
If you have a comment about who's going to win, the Bears or the Browns, what do you expect from rookie quarterback Justin Fields in his first professional start in the NFL? You can place your comments in our comments section on our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago, or on our YouTube page. Just search for Sports Zone Chicago. Place your comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up and on the air for you as you're listening to #Football Friday, hour number 2 on Sports Zone Chicago, Second City Sports City Lakeena with you previewing Bears Browns for this Sunday at noon from Cleveland Browns Stadium. Let's take a look at the numbers. On the offensive side, the Bears are ranked 30th. That's second from the bottom in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns are ranked 10th. As far as total defense is concerned, the Bears are 8th with the 4 turnovers that helped them beat the Bengals last week, while the Browns' total defense rank is at number 14. Passing offensively, the Bears are 31st. Shocking. And for the Cleveland Browns is 14th. Rushing overall, the Bears are 10th in the league, and the Browns are number 4. Lakeena, let's get into the running game. First, for the Chicago Bears, David Montgomery, he had over 100 yards in week 1, 60 yards in week 2. What do you expect out of him in week 3? Do you think he bounces back, or will it all depend on how Mr. Fields does?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on how Fields does. Does he give it to Montgomery and kind of just let him do what he needs to do, or is it is he going to depend on the throw? I mean, like I said before, if you look at the Cleveland's defense, like I said, you got Garrett, of course, you got Malik Jackson, you got Malik McDowell. Clowney's questionable for those of you who are wondering about him. The secondary is okay. It's not great. We got Harrison Jr. and Newsome the second, but it's a young but very opportunistic, I think, will probably be the better way to describe the Browns defense. So I don't know. What do you think? Because I kind of feel like it's going to depend on who. To me, I think it's going to depend on whose offense can keep the others offense off the field. If that makes sense.
I think you're correct. And
unmute.
Yeah.
Unmute. There we go.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute.
Okay, go ahead.
But going back to the running games with David Montgomery, I think he'll come close to 100 yards. But someone brought this up. I was listening to a show this morning, and Justin Fields, we all know how he likes to scramble and how he can potentially throw on the run. I like to see more of that. I would like to see the tight ends being used a little bit more. I think that will happen. Jimmy Graham, hopefully he get more than a couple of looks. Cole Kmet, hopefully he continues to develop. Head coach Matt Nagy, get a clue and use your tight ends more. You did not do that last week. Hopefully you can do that this week, because Justin Fields, if and when he rolls out, if he doesn't find his receivers, whether it's Allen Robinson or Marquise Goodwin or Darnell Mooney down the field, he'll go to his running backs. He'll go to his tight ends. I want to see how much the tight ends will be used more in the game plan on Sunday, and if the tight ends can be used more on Sunday, I think that opens the lanes up just a little bit more for Mr. Montgomery to run the ball.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if the Bears exploit that, if they can exploit that for the front seven. So like I said, Clowney's questionable, so we'll see if he becomes a factor for the defense to slow him down. Like I said, And look, as for the offense, back to the offense for the Browns for a second. Also, they have a pretty good tight end themselves. Austin Hooper, who's been doing a couple of Pro Bowls. So I think, look, like I said before, it's going to depend on who tries to kind of like force the hand, feed the beasts, as they say. If the Bears will feed Montgomery, if the Browns feed Chubb and Hunt. So those are going to be kind of like the keys for me as to like I said, who's going to keep whose offense off the field.
And let's go to the flip side positions of the ball. Of course, the Bears defense versus the Browns offense. Of course, the Cleveland Browns led by quarterback Baker Mayfield, who's still looking for a contract extension. That part's another issue for another show. But with his running backs, you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who have both had tremendous starts to the season. Of course, as I mentioned, Cleveland's team rushing offensively, their rank is number 10, while the Bears at number 4. So here's the thing, Lakeena. First of all, Eddie Goldman, the rushing number 4 for Cleveland. The Bears are number 10 in rushing. Lakeena, I don't know if you have the latest status on Eddie Goldman. He hasn't played at all this year. I don't know if he's going to give it a go on Sunday. If he does, that Bears defense looks a hell of a lot more better on paper. While on the flip side for Cleveland, this is going to be their number one game plan, especially with the second-year head coach Kevin Stefanski for the Browns. His game plan last year was to keep the ball in Baker Mayfield's out of his hands by running the ball. That was successful last year. They made it to the playoffs, won a game, and they're going on from there. But I think that even though Baker Mayfield can make plays down the field when their running game is on point, but the Bears can at least neutralize the running attack. You can force Baker Mayfield to some turnovers.
Yeah, he can, and Bill Mayfield does tend to do that. Now, can Eddie Jackson, can Jalen Johnson, do you trust those guys to throw to catch those interceptions? Vidner is Vidner primed for a big game? Can he do it? Do you trust the Bears secondary? I don't.
As of right now, I don't either, but what may give you some hope if you're a Bears fan is Odell Beckham Jr. It looks like he's on track to make his season debut on Sunday. I know Jarvis Landry is out, and so, but like you said, Lakeena, Austin Hooper, if you remember that name, he scored a touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons in that Super Bowl loss to the Patriots a few years ago. He's not just a typical tight end, but he's a receiving tight end like a Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez type. So look out for him. So the Bears, if they can neutralize.
Look for Mayfield to try to throw the ball to him, especially trying to exploit it. Especially if Johnson or Jackson, we have to be able to try to defend him.
Yeah, it is going to be a long day, especially if the Browns can run the ball. But I think the Bears can force a couple of turnovers if they can neutralize the Browns' running game. If they can, it's going to be another long day.
And we shall see. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lois Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. Finishing up our Bears Browns preview, I should say. I mean, you got the whole field. It's gonna be packed over there in Cleveland, and of course, I'm sure there's still gonna be some Bears fans there too. And the weather looks like it's gonna be really cool, really nice. Nice and cool, very seasonal for this time of year. Who do you think has the advantage? I mean, are we going to see the Bears team that we saw against the Rams, or are we going to see the Bears team that we saw against the Bengals?
Of course, Cleveland's going to have a slight advantage because they're at home, and they got a big win against Houston last week in front of those fans, so they'll have a slight advantage. But the Bears have a small advantage because Mr. Fields will be starting his first game as a starting quarterback in the National Football League, and it's going to be on the road, so it won't be as much pressure as if he would have made his starting debut here. So I think the Bears will benefit from that front. But I want to see how Mr. Fields handles the moment. I'm sure he's going to have family, friends, the old college teammates there to watch him because that's the first time he'll be playing in the state of Ohio as a professional. So I'm sure he's handled his ticket request by now, so he don't have to deal with that. But I want to see how he handles the moment, and it all comes down to coaching. Matt Nagy, how will he call this game? Will it be conservative on the Bears' first drive? Will he let him air it out? How much will he let Mr. Fields air it out?
Yeah, that's going to be the key to it. I love that people are bringing up the fact that he was undefeated in the state of Ohio. Of course, playing at Ohio State. So I don't know if that's going to be a factor because these are let's remember these are not like Michigan's defense from last couple of years and some of the other defense they have to face for the last couple of years. So I think I like to be a little bit more instilled than that. But I mean, like I said before, it's gonna get very interesting. I think that the line's like 7.5. I don't think it's gonna be that. We'll do our picks in a few minutes, but I don't think it's gonna I think it's gonna be close. But again, I don't trust this Bears team, so who knows? This could be a blowout. I don't know, but again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we'll make our picks in the next segment. But the Bears have a surprisingly good chance to keep this close. I'll leave it at that.
Yes, yeah, sure, of course.
Can you trust Matt Nagy not to screw this up? I know it's a stupid question, but can you trust him not to screw this up?
Yeah, we'll see.
Can somebody help us?
Well, yeah, that's we might be on our own on that front, Sid. But,
I guess.
But any other keys, for this game before we talk about the Thursday night game from last night?
Can somebody do something on special teams from either side, whether it's Bears or Browns, preferably the Bears? But do you expect anything positively from the special teams?
Well, both special teams have been very good, for the most part. I mean, I think the Browns, their special teams show some flashes. Also same thing with the Bears. So I think it's going to depend on the punting. I think who will keep put the other team deep. That's could be another factor. Who will have good field position. So both of them have their own shortcomings when it comes on special teams. So we'll just have to wait and see who doesn't make many mistakes, less mistakes on Sunday.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. You can go to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your comments and questions in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the air for you. Coming up in our next segment to wrap up the show, Christine Manika, our good friend from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, will join us to give us her Week 3 NFL picks. Lakeena, you want to mention something about last night's drumming of the Houston Texans? They got drummed at home with a rookie quarterback against the Carolina Panthers, whose victory came at a heavy price tag with a heavy cost in terms of injuries.
Yeah, it was very costly win. Christian McCaffrey pull his hamstring. It looks like he's going to be out for a while. And also J.C. Horn, who was having a really good first couple of weeks of the season. He was one of the reasons why that Panthers defense is one of the tops in the league. And, he breaks his foot in a non-contact way. I mean, that turf in Houston, my gosh. And we thought that the turf here at Soldier was terrible, but, he breaks multiple bones on his foot, and he's going to be gone probably very likely the rest of the year. So the Panthers have a quote-unquote easy schedule, but without those two, I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, we saw last year when Christian McCaffrey was down in the lineup for Carolina, they struggled. Even though they had one-time former Bear, Mike Davis. He did okay, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. So we know Christian McCaffrey's that offense. I know Sam Darnold is having a nice bounce-back year so far, but without that big weapon on offense, that offense doesn't go for the Panthers. So we'll see what they look like moving forward. On the other side for Houston, of course, we know Deshaun Watson's not going to play this year due to his off-the-field issues. But on the field, Lakeena, their defense, they were looking good the first couple weeks of the year, but last night, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold, I mean, I think, look, in a better system, I think he looked really good. And that defense, that we used to say that defense was probably like one of the most fierce in the league. And they still got some guys. They got, Vernon Hargraves and a couple, Tremont Smith and a few others, but that defense just isn't what it used to be. And look, Chuba Hubbard, I mean, he could kind of be the guy, since it looks like McCaffrey is going to be gone. So he's going to be the guy. And also too, if you have DJ Moore on your fantasy team, so that helped a little bit, so had 133 yards, 126 yards, I should say, and, didn't catch a touchdown, but he kept, drives moving. So yeah, it was close for a while. You give Davis Mills credit. He passed his first, his first NFL touchdown pass. His family was there. It's always great when you see those type, it's gonna be a long, outside of Deshaun Watson. It's gonna be a very long year in Houston.
All right, before we take our break at the bottom of the hour, what couple of games, other games outside of Bears Browns are interest to you for this NFL Week 3?
I have a couple. the later games, Bucks and Rams, that's going to be like the game of the week.
Yeah.
And Fox is going to have their top people there. So, you get Buck, Aitman, and Aaron Andrews. They're going to be doing
and
2
Tom
games.
Rinaldi too.
And I say Ronaldo's going to be there as well. So that should be a fun one. Although some people, us here in Chicago, we're going to have Seahawks and Vikings. So watching on your computer.
Oh, they switched it.
I think they. Well, I don't know. Like I haven't looked at the actual guys, but yeah, I think it's probably what we're gonna end up getting.
I'll check it during the break. The break.
Yeah. Seahawks and Vikings. We'll see how Minnesota looks. I mean, the Seahawks, they might not be a very good mood after what happened last week against the Titans, but we'll see. They're Washington and Buffalo. That should be a fun one. One of the noon games. What else?
I'm looking forward to the LA Chargers in Kansas City. Too bad that game is not on here in Chicago live, but I'll be watching it live via my computer.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. Both teams coming off losses that probably should have been wins, but again, that's another thing. We'll see if the Colts can get their first win against the Titans. That's always fun when those two teams, AFC South.
Will Carson Wentz play? That's the question.
He practiced today, so we'll see if he does.
He'll probably end up playing if he practiced today.
The Dolphins and the Raiders, that should be an interesting one there. I mean, the Raiders are 2-0, and the Dolphins, they're 1-1. So we'll see how that should be a good one. Also,
for those of you in Chicago, you'll get that game on Channel 2.
Yes, you do. Also, too, Eagles Cowboys. That doesn't look too bad either. I mean, that the NFC East. I mean, you always throw the records out the window when those two teams play. So I'm sure the Eagles are, going to want to bounce back from that. Just being hammered by the 49ers. So we'll see if the Cowboys are for real.
Yeah, and Drew Pearson, I believe, will get his Hall of Fame ring during a halftime ceremony. So congrats to him.
Yeah, I heard Troy Aikman talk about that. I think he said he's going to be there too, I believe. Yeah. So that should be a very emotional for him, finally getting into the Hall of Fame. You're very happy for him. Also, too, Packers and 49ers. I mean, that's the Sunday nighter. I know that the NBC are probably happy that they got that matchup.
Yeah, especially we saw what Green Bay did on Monday against the Detroit Lions, especially in the second half, scoring 21 unanswered points. Let's see if they could do something similar to that against a tough 49ers defense, but the 49ers are struggling with injuries right now, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm looking forward to the All Brother crew for Fox.
Oh yeah,
Gus Johnson and Akeem Talib. I'll definitely be checking in on this game via NFL Red Zone and via my computer. The Arizona Cardinals against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a early game on the Fox. That's at noon.
Yeah, that might be one-sided, but again, they'll be entertaining. So that's I might check that. Yeah, just for that. Yeah, just to listen to the game might not be very good, but you can listen to the commentary there. Saints and Patriots. I mean, that's kind of an intriguing one, right? I mean, are we gonna get good Jameis or bad Jameis? We got bad Jameis last week against the Panthers. So what are we gonna get here?
I'm interested in this game, the 0-2 battle between the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants. I still don't trust the Giants, but the Atlanta Falcons should be 1-1 right now. You would think that the Atlanta will take advantage of a bad Giants team, but we'll save our picks for the next segment. So I think whoever loses this game is. If let's just say this: if the Giants lose this one, it's going to get ugly real fast. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, look, they're already Giants fans. They're already getting the U-Haul truck and get your pink slips and your link cards. I mean, come on now. That's sort of a thing that we've done, that we did before. So you guys get what we're talking about. But as we get our buddy Christine Manika in a little early.
Hey, Christine.
Hi.
Yeah, happy 2021 AL Central Division Champ Sox Day.
Yeah, I like your jersey this time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, he always does that. Always get the jersey up. So yeah. So are you concerned with the White Sox? I mean, they're going to be able to start resting guys. So is there a team that it's probably going to end up being Houston, I'm sure, regardless. It's going to depend on how the seedings match up. But are you kind of concerned about how far this team can go in the playoffs?
I'm not concerned about that. I'm more concerned about their health and making sure the players stay healthy. We haven't seen Giolito pitch in gosh knows how long now. So who knows when he's going to be able to go back in and do what he does best. So let's hope that's soon. But if everyone just stays healthy, keep their head on straight, I don't see a problem.
Are you worried about Carlos Rodon? He was yanked out of the game in Detroit the other day. He's supposed to make his next start against Cincinnati, I believe, on Tuesday. But call me crazy, I think that it'll be safe for the White Sox to keep him out until the postseason. Hopefully, it's nothing serious with his arm or his elbow. Let's be honest here. Rodon, he's a free agent after this year. I understand that Carlos is looking out for himself in his future, and rightfully so. And maybe the White Sox, maybe there's a chance for them bringing him back. I don't know. But do you think Carlos Rodon should make it start on Tuesday? I think they should keep him out to the postseason. And assuming that they get lucky and get past Houston, you should save him for the ALCS.
In a perfect world,
Right?
People were smart, then yes, I agree. Just wait him out, keep him rested until the postseason. That's what they've been doing with Giolito. I don't see why they don't do it with Rodon too. So keep that trend going.
Are you afraid that and we talked about this, or Sid and I talked about this earlier, are you afraid that maybe, we're going to get guys like, Anderson and Abreu, they're going to go into slumps at the exact same time? And if so, who do you think can pick up the slack for them?
Yeah, that's also concerning. I would say the team is still young, right? It's hard to say who I think would be the best to pick them up, so to speak, because they all have something. They all have that some sort of, I don't want to get fancy here, je ne sais quoi about them that just makes them.
I love that.
That just makes them, who they are as individuals and as players. They all play a part in some way. If anything, Jimenez, I think he's got a lot of great energy in him. Same with Anderson. You always see Tim Anderson getting so hyped after a great hit from whether it's from his bat or one of his teammates' bats. So either way, I think those two would be the ones to step up.
Yeah, we saw what Tim Anderson did yesterday on the field with those 2 home runs, and we'll see if he can provide that throughout the playoffs. Christine, I said it at the top of the show. I think Gavin Sheets, Billy Hamilton, I think he's this year's Dave Roberts, who's currently manager of the LA, manager of the Dodgers. But remember back in 2004, Dave Roberts didn't pick up a bat for the 2004 Red Sox. He came in there to steal bases and play defense, and that's exactly what he did. So Billy Hamilton, I think he's going to be key. Leary, not Larry, legend Garcia, he's going to be a key as well, especially against left-handers. So you kind of had to look at those guys, those guys that are coming off the bench. Usually you see 1 or 2 of those guys every year come up with surprise plays that hits during the playoffs.
Oh, Gavin Sheets is amazing.
I like him.
I
wish he's my starting right field in the perfect world, but I know Tony La Russa doesn't look at it that way. So
I mean, that kid's got something. He's got spunk, and I love it.
Yes.
He can fly too. So and look, I'm looking forward to it. I hope. I'll be cheering for the White Sox. I'm going to be cheering hard, and let's hope so. Let's hope that they can make it at the very least, make it to the ALCS, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to be right back with our buddy Christine and our NFL Pigskin Pick'ems for week 3, and we may actually talk some Ryder Cup 2 that's going on right now, not too far from where we are in Whistling Straits. Come on now. Sorry, Sid, we might sneak that in there.
we gotta sneak it in.
We got to. We have to. Sorry, Sid, but along with Sydney Brown and Christine Manika from KXRB, I'm Lakeena and Sid. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll be right back with our picks. So stay tuned.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
All right, welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Cindy Brown and our buddy KXRB's Christine Manika. I'm Lakeena McGee. And you know what, guys? The great thing about it is that Sid, you're still up, but look, Christine, you and I are not too far behind. We're only like one game back, so we're still, so it's all close. So
I'm just ahead by one game over Christina.
Yeah.
I need some separation. Too close.
No, I got you ahead of you. By separation, you mean I have to come up in front of you.
Yeah.
No. Oh, she's doing that trash talking again.
Okay.
These young folks go have to learn, Lakeena.
Yeah. Well, look,
they're gonna have to learn one day.
Yeah. Well, she's from the South Side of Chicago. Said originally. Come on now. She's like all three of us are from the South Side. So
I get all that. I get all that, but she got to pay her dues first. Don't be doing all that talking, young lady. You gotta get ahead first, then you talk.
All right. All right. So a little warm up. Yeah. You know you like it, Sid. Come on now. All right. So let's get right to it. The good one here. What we talked about before you came on, Christine. This AFC South matchup. You got Colts and Titans. Let's say you can start this one.
I know it looks like Carson Wentz may play, even though he injured both of his ankles last week. The Titans actually got a big upset win at Seattle last week. Mm-hmm. I'm riding the hot hand with Derrick Henry. I believe this game is in Tennessee, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Titans. Case closed.
Oh, all right. Christine?
I mean, yeah, case closed. It's the Titans. I mean, no offense to Carson Wentz, because, you know, he's from NDSU. He's a North Dakota kid.
Yes.
I don't see him doing anything spectacular at all. My coworkers were talking about him this past week, and they just said he spells disappointment. And those are my words; those are their words. So I'm just gonna leave it at that and say Tennessee has this one.
Yeah, I've been, lobbying for the Colts. These last couple of weeks have shown that I don't look very smart in this case. So I'm going to pick the Titans and make it a sweep. All right. Second up is the battle of the 0-2s. We got the Falcons and the Giants. Christine, you start.
I start. Okay. It's going to be very close. It's been a rough start for both teams so far. Atlanta actually could be considered the worst team of the year so far, just because they just can't get their life together. So because of that, and since New York, the Giants have more promise, I'll go with the Giants for this one, especially because there's a hometown kid on the Giants, I believe still, Julian Love. He went to Nazareth Academy, and he's a great ball player. I hope he gets to see the field more too.
How excuse my French, I know this is a kids program, but how in the hell did the Giants are a -2.5?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But
usually Atlanta, apparently Vegas does.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm assuming that some smart people like you're surely picking the Falcons on the money line. I know usually the home team usually gets straight, but something tells me that not too many people are going to fall for that Giants because they're at home. I'm not going to fall for it. We don't pick point spreads on this show. We pick straight up winners. I'm going with Atlanta. As I said before in our last segment, the Falcons should be 1-1 right now. They did put up a fight like I said last week, but a couple of fluky plays got them blown out in the second half at Tampa Bay. If Atlanta cannot win this game, there's a problem. Saquon Barkley on the flip side, he's still on the snap count as he trying to make it back from his torn ACL a year ago in Chicago. I just don't trust the Giants. Daniel Jones, is he the answer? I'm doing this Jordan Shrug for those of you listening exclusively on our podcast. So I don't trust the Giants. And Atlanta, if this is not close to a give me win as possible, I don't know what is. So I'm going with the Falcons. I'll trust them again this week.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll pick Atlanta too. Like they have to win this, right? They have to. Well, they don't have to, but they should. But,
right.
It would be nice.
We saw them like the last couple of weeks. They have not been, very good. So I don't believe in the Giants just yet. We'll still, Barkley is still, like you said, he's still going to be on a limited, carry. So I think the Falcons will win this one. If they don't win this, I don't know what to tell Atlanta fans. A very good one here in the AFC West. You got the Chargers and the Chiefs, both coming out of very disappointing losses. I'll start this one. Look, both teams not going to be in a very good mood, for the reasons I just said. Frank Clark is still, he was limited today on practice. I just saw on Twitter. So I'll say the Chargers. I'm going for the upsets, and I might lose this one, but I'm okay with it. I have a couple of upsets up my sleeve, so might as well be this one. So who else wants to go next?
I went for the Giants in the last one, so we all got to have one of those, right? So
of course,
it's going to be a tough call for sure. Both teams, like you said, Lakeena, they're gonna have a sour taste in their mouth, that's for sure. But because we know Mahomes, we know his crew, we know what they can do, I'm going to go with the Chiefs for this one.
I know Kansas City is favored by 8 points. I think the Chargers can't keep it close. They should have won that game against Dallas last week, even though I told you the Cowboys were going to win. So Yoshua was right on that one. But with that being said, Kansas City is going to make a couple big plays down the stretch to separate themselves. So I'm going with the Chiefs. I was wrong about them last week. It's not going to happen twice in a row. I just don't see it. So I'm going with the Chiefs.
Glad you learned, Sid.
Right?
You hush, young lady.
always fun with those two when these two teams ballot out. So I'm sure we're gonna have another classic one there. A pretty intriguing one here in the AFC North. You got the Bengals and the Steelers. Both teams are kind of banged up though right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sid,
why?
Why?
Why you go with me first? But Ben Roethlisberger got beat up last week. I know he's practicing limited this week.
Yes.
The Bengals, I want to go with them in an upset. I just don't trust, especially after what happened here in Chicago last Sunday. Only just because they're at home. I'm going with Kansas City. But I won't be surprised if the Bengals kept this close. I really won't be surprised if that happens. But I'm going Pittsburgh with the last second field goal. I definitely can see that.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh's favored by 6.5.
I'll go with Pittsburgh too, Sid, especially since now the Steelers, they have home field advantage. Now, if it was reversed, if the Bengals had home field advantage, then I'd say just because of their crowd alone, I would say them. But I've seen what Steelers fans can do too with their fan base. So because it's home field advantage, I'm saying Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh wins this just because they're at home. I just, like you said, we saw what happened with the Bengals. We thought it was they did keep it close, but they did Bengals thing. So I'm going to pick the Steelers.
I did pick the Bears to win that one, just to let y'all know.
I was smart. I tried to be smart anyway, and I said the Bengals. Who knew?
Well, yeah. I was right that it was close. So what can you do? I'm going to keep it short with this next one, Ravens and Lions. The Lions will keep it close. I don't think the Ravens, this could be a trap game for the Ravens, but I think John Harbaugh will have his guys ready, and I kind of feel like they're on a mission. So I'm going to pick it'll be close, but I think I'll pick the Ravens will hold tight and hold off the Lions.
I'm going with Baltimore, even though Lamar Jackson admitted that he injured himself after that silly flip last Sunday night. Hopefully he won't do anything stupid in Motown, so I'm going with Detroit. Rewind that tape. I was
like,
I'm going with
I was going to say, what did he say? I'm
going with Baltimore.
I'm
devil's a lie.
Talk yourself there, huh?
I'm gonna pull a hardball there and be like, Sid, you want to go for that? Do you want to go for that answer?
Oh no. Let's say rewind that tape. I'm going with Baltimore.
I will definitely say Baltimore. However, I am worried just because I've said this before. Detroit's a rebuilding team. I'm afraid that maybe they consider this kind of like a practice game, if that makes sense. Like maybe they'll get a little bit lazy on the field and they wouldn't try as hard when Detroit could easily come up from behind that and feed off of that, saying, okay, they don't care, so we're just going to play harder. So yes, the Ravens, but I wouldn't go too easy on the Lions.
Yeah. I'm that's what I'm afraid of too. But I think Harbaugh's been around long enough. I think he'll have his guys ready. So
he'll go for it.
He'll go.
Yeah, Detroit. Yeah, Detroit is surprising 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
The other okay. Well, I would take the under.
I was just reading what it has on VegasInsider.com. I didn't make up these numbers.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're I don't know, but they must know something we don't. But this is a battle here between the 1-1s. You got the Saints and the Patriots. Who wants to start this one?
Oh, when the Saints go marching in. It's got to be the Saints. I mean, you both got fairly young quarterbacks on both sides, but right now the Saints show a little bit more promise, in my opinion. They got a stronger O-line too, so it's got to be the Saints for this.
I'm going with New England.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
One, because I said so, young lady. And number two, Mac Jones is starting to show some signs. He didn't have the world of the on his shoulders last week as the Jets shot themselves in the foot thanks to Zach Wilson's 4 interceptions. And the Pats defense did enough to contain that. So I think that you'll have a
points.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I always do. That's what I always do. But I think New England's defense will do enough just to contain Mr. Winston. I don't know he's going to throw 5 interceptions again like he did last week, but they'll do enough to keep Mr. Winston in the pocket and force a couple of turnovers. So New England's going to do just enough to win. Lakeena, you may get a 9-6, 13-10, 16-10 game.
Right.
If that happens, you can thank yours truly for that, even though they'll be your specialty.
Well, yeah. I mean, this could end up being the case. I mean, but I trust the Saints defense more than I trust the Patriots defense. So I'm thinking the Saints. I'm sure Cam Jordan's going to want to make mincemeat out of Mac Jones. So, and I think Winston's going to want to redeem himself from last week. So it's going to be close. Like we might end up being like a 10-7 or something like that. So, but I'm going to pick the Saints as well. All right. The Cardinals and Jags, we said it earlier. You got Gus Johnson, the key to lead on the call for this one. I'm going to keep it short. Like I said, they're calling. They'll probably end up like sharing stories. So I'm going to say the Cardinals, but where things happen. But I think the Cardinals should win this, pretty easily.
Give it to the Birds. That's my answer. Give it to the Birds, Cardinals.
Yeah, this is the second time in 3 weeks that the Cardinals had to go back to the East Coast. I don't trust the Jaguars. The Cardinals should go in there and destroy the Jaguars. As you said, Christina, about Baltimore going in there and throw their cleats out there expecting to win. Arizona better not do that because if they do, they're in trouble. Right. Especially after escaping with the 1-point win against Minnesota at home last week.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I'm a good on is I think Chandler Jones and they didn't have a good game after that. I think he's going to take it out on Trevor Lawrence. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think that's probably what's going to keep that from happening. But we'll see. A good one here. About 1-1s in Buffalo. You got Washington and the Bills.
Buffalo for me.
Easy. It's going to be a close game, but Buffalo for sure.
I agree. I think they'll be close, but I think Buffalo just because I think their offense is just better. As great as Taylor Heineke has been, I don't think he has a lot of the talent around him just yet. So, but again, they've had 10 days off, so we'll see what happens. I'm sure they'll be ready.
Yeah, Buffalo's favored by 4.5.
Okay, so I definitely they'll probably make like 5 or 6, I think. Jets and Broncos.
This is going to get ugly. Yeah, this is going to get ugly at the Mile High.
Yes.
Denver's favored by 7.5. I expect them to win this game by 10 points. So I'm going with the Broncos. They have a better running game. They have a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Denver is like a sports car. And let's just say whoever's the owner of it is away. Whoever's driving that car, don't strip the gears. Don't mess up the tires. Just don't crash it.
Yeah.
Keep this thing on even kill. Put it on cruise control. Do what you're supposed to do. You should come out there with a victory. I'm going with the Broncos at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the Broncos at home. Yeah, I've looked at this week, and it's all just interesting how some of the more dominant teams are facing, the teams that aren't doing well. This is another one of those situations.
Yeah.
So if Denver can keep on cruise control, like Sid was saying, yeah, I would say Denver for sure.
I mean the Jets. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. I don't know who's playing for the Jets. Nobody really knows. And I know the Broncos are banked up. I know Cortland Sutton, he hasn't practiced the last couple of days, but I think they just say he should be good to go. And I think Bridgewater's gonna have another great game. So I'm picking Denver. All right, you got a good one here in the AFC. You got Dolphins and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Let's see here. Vegas is favored by 1.5. So I know Tua Tagovailoa, the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, he's not supposed to play. Mm-hmm. But even if he did, the Raiders is on a roll right now to start the year. This could be a trap game because they're 2-0 and they had a big win at Pittsburgh last week. They're back at home. They should be able to take care of the Dolphins. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, I am going with the Raiders too. Unfortunately, Miami has no coverage. Why do you think Tua is injured? Why do you think he has injured ribs right now? He has no coverage. So the poor guy, he wants to help Miami win. Obviously, he wants to bring them those victories, but without any support from your own team, what are you going to do? It's kind of like let's throw something up in the air and see what works. Let's just toss a salad together and see if it tastes good. So let's go with the Raiders for this one.
Yeah. I think Vegas is going to show they're for real. I know that I'm sure that Gruden will love to, show people that, hey, you know what, my guys are actually pretty good. So, and like I said, I know Brissett's he's a veteran, but he's going to be running for his life a lot. So I'm going to pick the Raiders. All right, the 325, first one here, a good one. Seahawks and the 0-2 Minnesota Vikings.
I'll start with this one. Minnesota is a train wreck. Go Russell Wilson, Seahawks.
Short and sweet, to the point.
Yeah, America's other game of the week on Fox. I'll be watching this game live via my computer. And Lakeena, that game will not be aired here in Chicago because I just checked my TV guide, courtesy of Xfinity. The Buccaneers and Rams game will be live here in Chicago. That's what it says.
I got you, Sid. I got you right over here. It's all Minnesota here.
I'm going with Seattle. Yeah, don't try to. Yeah, so don't try to trick her, young lady. I'm going with Seattle.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Okay, well, yeah, I think the Seahawks are not going to be they're going to be very angry because they felt like they lost. They let that game against the Titans slip away at home. So I think they're going to take it out on Minnesota. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. I don't think they do at this point.
Nobody knows.
Exactly. The change is starting to derail there. So I'm going to say it's going to be close, but I think the Seahawks will pull away late. And the game of the week, as Sid was alluding to, you got the 2-0s, you got the Bucks and the Rams. I think I'll start on this one.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so tough. I mean, you know what though? I'm gonna pick the Rams just because I think their defense is a little bit better than the Bucks defense. Even though they got some big names there. JPP is gonna be out for a few weeks, so I'm thinking that Ramsey may get the best of Tom Brady. I think he may get an interception from him. It's going to be very close. It might come down to a field goal, maybe. I don't know, but I think the Fox's number one team will get a really good one. So I'm going to take the Rams at home. They're at home, so that's why I'm picking them.
Yeah, I will say it's going to be a close game. Another thing that I'm thinking of, it's kind of familiar competition.
Yeah,
they're kind of familiar with each other by now, so they kind of have an idea of what one team's going to do over the other. But because it's close and because it's familiar, I'm going to go and just say Tampa Bay. Just to be the devil's advocate here, I'll go Tampa Bay.
Remember last year, who was the last team that gave the Buccaneers their last loss before they won the Super Bowl? It was a Monday night showdown between the Buccaneers and the Rams from Tampa,
yes,
and the
sir.
Rams won. The Rams will continue that again. I know they're 2.5-point favorites, but they're at home in front of fans. It'll probably be more Tampa Bay /
Bucs fans, probably,
Brady fans.
Brady
because,
fans, yeah.
yeah, even though LA is a Raiders town, not a
Mhm.
Rams town. Well, some of you folks in LA would like to dispute that. Like you say, I think it's going to be a classic game. Brady's going to have his worst game of the year. The Rams defense is going to show up, and maybe we'll get a Leonard Floyd sighting, Lakeena. So I'm going with the Rams at home.
Let's hope that they show Stafford's real wife this time too.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, right. I saw that.
Was horrible.
Oh,
Even
gosh.
I was looking at it. I said, "Wait a minute, that's not his wife. It looks like her, but it's not."
No, it's not. Oops. I'm sure she wasn't happy about that either.
I'm pretty sure she wasn't. Why do you think they had to do the camera back at her?
Yeah. Whoops. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Did you? Oh, you did you pick Christine?
I did. I said Tampa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't paying it. I was looking like a whole 100 different things. Sorry, no, my bad. Another good one here though on the Sunday night. You got the Packers and the 49ers.
Packers.
With
That's
such
my
disdain.
answer.
Yeah, with such disdain. How she says that.
Yeah, just that first game definitely was a fluke. They came back last week, so it's Packers.
I know San Francisco's favored by 2.5, but you guys know, and everybody out there listening and watching, I don't trust the 49ers.
No.
I'm going with the Packers. Now, as a fan, I'm cheering for the 49ers, but as a so-called expert, I'm going with the Packers.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think the injuries are just mounting for the 49ers, which is just unfortunate. So I think the Packers have found their groove. I think that, other defense actually been pretty good too, so maybe they'll expose. We may see Trey Lance in this game, who knows? But yeah, I'm picking the Packers. In a road upsets, doing air quotes here. Monday night in the NFC East, you got the Eagles and the Cowboys. I'll start this one. We'll see which teams for real. I know the Eagles want to bounce back from that, just getting shellacked by the 49ers. The Cowboys coming off of a win that they should not have won against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. Again, that's another tangent I'm not going to go on, but it's always interesting when you see two teams match up. I'll pick the Cowboys just because they're at home.
That's the same thing I went for too, is Cowboys just because they're at home and those fans, they're excited.
Yeah.
I think Philadelphia will play better, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The Cowboys, it looks like they're getting their stride back. The offense has been tremendous. I know they scored 17 points last week, but as I said before, Dak is back and he'll show that on Monday. I'm going with Dallas at home.
Should be, probably have his best performance of the season so far. He might... because of the defense. Okay, last but not least, you got the Browns and the Bears.
Oh boy.
Well, look, I'll say this. I think Justin Fields will do well. I mean, he'll like a rookie. I think he'll throw a touchdown. I think he'll rush for a touchdown. I think like we said before, the key is going to be who's running and keep the other offense off the field. So I think if the Bears can do that with Montgomery, just stick with the formula. I think they'll keep it close. But the Browns are the more talented team, so I think Baker Mayfield is gonna expose that, the secondary, and also too, I see Gibson might be out because he didn't practice today, so that might be another thing that's gonna throw a monkey wrench there. So I'm gonna pick the Browns, but the Bears will keep it close. I'll say that.
I don't know. I think for the first time with this, I'm going with the Bears just because I see that Fields wants to succeed. He's already shown a lot of promise already. And I was mentioning this to a coworker today, he actually has some time to prepare for this game. Unlike Mitch, he kind of just got thrown into it saying, all right, well, he's injured. Now it's your turn. Go, see what happens. So because of that, and also I'm curious to see what kind of specialty plays Nagy has for Fields specifically designed for him, because we all know he worked specifically with quarterbacks before he came to the Bears. So I want to see how that unfolds. But overall, the Bears, if they can keep it together and if their offense can succeed. I remember the days when defense was the problem. Now we're back on the O-line. So as long as the O-line keeps it together, as long as Montgomery has an A game, this is another thing. What's going on with Tariq Cohen? I want him to come out at one point.
Still on IR. He's on IR, I think. So
yeah. So as long as the Bears stick to the book, I'm going with the Bears.
Christine must know something along with Vegas because the Bears, you cannot make this stuff up. The Bears are currently 3.5-point favorites on the road. Couple of things here. As we mentioned in our last segment, Christine, me and Lakeena talked about Justin Fields. It's sort of a quote-unquote homecoming for him. So he's going to have family, friends, and college, I'm sure, high school, old college teammates sitting in the stands. How many, we don't know, but I'm sure we had those requests taken care of early in the week. Number 2, most of the nation is going to see this potential poop. Greg Olsen, one-time Chicago Bear. He's part of the Fox number 2 crew with Kevin Burkhardt. So most of the nation is going to watch this game as part of the Fox doubleheader. So Greg Olsen, I'm sure he has some not so nice things to say about the Bears. So he's just going to keep it professional. But we'll see about that.
That's how the game goes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's how the game goes. I think he'll keep it classy for the most part, though. He might.
I think so too. I think so too.
I think he's going to stick some, little quips here and there, but I think he's going to keep it classy.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I'm with you, Lakeena. The Bears will keep it sort of close, but I just got this feeling that the Bears will do something stupid. Right. I don't care where it comes from.
Damn.
Somebody's doing something stupid, right? Right.
We need that gift, Lakeena. We need that gift. Good times, James Evans Sr. Damn.
Exactly.
There'll be a few of those go around for the Chicago area. The Bears are going to keep this close. They'll do something stupid, and Cleveland's going to take advantage of it. I'm going with Cleveland. And watch Christine would be right.
Yeah. There's a first time for everything, I got to say.
Which could happen, but yeah.
It could happen.
It could happen. Look, we've seen a lot of weird things happen in the NFL, and those are week 3 picks of from the NFL. Here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, Sydney Brown, Christine, Manika from KXRB, and I'm Lakeena McGee. And real quick, Christine, before we head out, the Ryder Cup's going on. Team US, USA, and Team Europe. Whistling Straits up north, not too far from where we are here in Chicago. Steve Striker's home course base. This is basically a home course advantage for him since he grew up near the course. So what's your sort of synopsis of this? We got US is up 3-1 right now. They're playing the I believe the 4-ball, I think, as we speak.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah. So So tell us what's your kind of like your quick breakdown of the Ryder Cup.
I love it how you bring up Steve Stricker because I just saw him last week here at the Sanford International. Great guy.
Yes.
Great guy. He was when I first came out here to South Dakota, one of the first major athletes I interviewed. And he was so excited about the Ryder Cup. He's like, it's great being able to come out here in South Dakota and then coming on to another great tournament. So he's a great leader leader for Team USA for sure. It's going to be an interesting battle. I don't know if you saw this earlier, but Jordan Spieth.
Yes, I saw
this insane shot. And normally, sometimes when a shot is hit so far out of bounds, the officials will let you move it on occasion. Just move it to a different location where it's okay to hit.
Right.
In this case, I talked to my boyfriend about this because he's a golfer. Yeah. In this case, he had to hit it because that was a good spot that said, nope, you got to hit it from there. He almost went into Lake Michigan.
Yeah, he did. He almost fell into Lake Michigan. I saw it live. It was just crazy.
Amazing shot.
Yeah, he did. Now,
unbelievable. It didn't even bounce back. There was no bounce back. It didn't roll off the green or anything. It was amazing.
It was. They ended up losing the match, unfortunately, to the Spanish team, Sergio Garcia and John Rahm. But that was probably one of the best shots in Ryder Cup history. So, I think the U.S. has a shot to take the cup back. What do you think?
I think so. They got a lot of great young and seasoned players on their team. Why not? I mean, they lost the match today, but there's always tomorrow. I always say there's always 18 more holes or 18 times 2. There's that many holes left. So you always got to think of a hole as another opportunity. And I think that's what each player has to think about during this.
hopefully we'll get another Dustin Johnson, Colin Maracala. Because they played really well today. I think that's the kind of the match that's that's kind of like the duo that the U.S. needs if they want to try to get the cup back. Although they've been I think like all but one of the matches right now are all square right now. So still tough for Europe to kind of catch up, but also too for U.S. to pad their lead. So say you can unmute yourself now. So I know he feels like
I'm unmuted.
Here you go, Sid. Here's something. Even Draco Malfoy is there. Who knows what the heck happened to him yesterday passing out on the course?
Yes.
But
thankfully he's okay though. He said he was just dehydrated. He didn't eat much before. So what are you guys looking forward to this weekend? Besides the Ryder Cup, for me and Christine.
Come on, Sid. What are you looking forward to?
The Wisconsin Notre Dame game tomorrow is live from here in Chicago. Christine, I'm assuming she's cheering for the overrated Fighting Irish.
Oh, what do you mean overrated?
Got her.
Can I just say, I almost wore my Notre Dame shirt today. My apartment is basically there's a Notre Dame blanket, there's a Notre Dame picture. Like I'm a Notre Dame girl. I was a Notre Dame cheerleader for my first Halloween costume when I was a kid. And I still have it, but my heart and soul lies with Notre Dame. It's going to be a great showing. I know College Game Day is going to be out there too. So Chicago should be really excited for this. Yeah.
The Fox pregame show is going to be out there as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too. Those two really, those two are really the same place. So that's going to be very interesting. I think that game, of course, the Ryder Cup, and also too, I know there's a couple of other things. Also, too, remember, guys, Bulls training camp. Although we didn't get some good news. Patrick Williams is going to be out for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. with the ankle, but I guess it's better that it happens now than during the season. So that's good. Also, too, Kobe White actually got some good news there. He's on track to come back in November. So kind of a good news, bad news thing, but in the injury front. But you know what? Maybe it's just around the corner. Yeah, maybe it's just around the corner, guys. So
yes, couple of things real quick before we head out. Christine, did you check out? We referenced the game earlier from last week. Minnesota and Arizona, of course. Coach Joseph, the kicker from the Vikings, missed that game winning kickout. I was watching it live via my computer. Did you catch the call from Hall of Fame? He should be in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame announcer Paul Allen. He called it good, but it's like, no, he missed it.
No, it's not.
He missed it.
I mean, it's not like you have two referees holding their hands up, going no or anything. I mean, good gosh, if that doesn't sum up Minnesota's season so far, I don't know what does.
And looking ahead to next week's lines in the NFL, you cannot make this stuff up. Of course, the Bears will be hosting the Lions next week at Soldier Field. The Bears are favored as an early favorite by 5.5 points.
Good. They should.
Yeah, I can see.
That's a logical thing.
Yeah,
Detroit's. They're being Detroit right now. They're trying to reinvent themselves to find out who they are again as a team. So yeah, I'd say that's a fine number. Why not? The Bears should win against them.
Yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't. But then again, you never know with this team.
Right.
You never know. Let's see what happened last year in that second game with Detroit. So just
right.
Oh gosh, that was brutal.
Gosh, look, a great sports weekend. Of course, we got the NFL. We got college football. Of course, if you're a golf fan like Christine and myself, you got the Ryder Cup. So many great sports this weekend. So on that note, you follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. You can listen to the show Second City Sports live and in living color every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app at the Apple iTunes Store or at Google Play. You can make sure you purchase, you get the app for free. Make sure it says Sports Zone Chicago. And you can follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago. And you want to catch the audio version of the show Second City Sports. You can do so by typing in search engine box on all podcast platforms, War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. You can follow War Media as well on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
All right, Christine, where could people find you on the social media?
You can always find me on Twitter right there at Manika_KXRB.
Yeah, make sure you send Christine some love if the Bears pull out this upset on Sunday.
Now I'm nervous.
Well, yeah. Look, like I said, you never know where things happen in the NFL. We've seen it happen so far this season. So, so back at you, Armando, our buddy Armando Lara Jr. Just comment on Facebook. You guys have a good weekend as well. Enjoy the sports and be good to each other. Wash your hands. Mask up if you're not going to get the vax. So for Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you guys next week.
Let's go, 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 White Sox, AL Central champs. Holla!